Hi there, thank you so much for joining me. I'm Julia from ITM Events. I'm excited to be here with you today to talk to you a little bit about, actually maybe not a little bit, I think it's actually going to be kind of a long video, about virtual events and what we've learned so far on events that we have worked on, events that we are working on. It's a real learning process for us, for those of us who had not had experience in virtual events before. And I believe most of us are doing the best we can. We're learning as we go. The great thing is that the rest of the world is in the same position we're in. So we're all learning together and everyone is being patient and kind and accepting of everyone's level of knowledge and experience in this world, because there are some people who are fitting in a little bit better, I think, and then there are some who are really struggling to get up to speed. So I want to talk today about multiple different things about virtual events, essentially what I've learned so far. Now, I have not had a client go live yet on a virtual event. We have multiple on the go at this time, but I was, excuse me, I was a part of an international, global event that I learned a lot from, and I've also been watching a lot of virtual events. My friend Sean and I have started the Event Critique, which we encourage you to check it out, where we are going in and watching some virtual events that are happening online, and we are critiquing the events. And critique may even be a bit of a harsh word, because we're all learning, right? We don't want to be mean, but we are looking at these events from the perspective of an event planner and pulling out points that we can all learn from. You know, so things that their event did really well, things that their event did not do so well. And in the end, our hope is that people will learn from our videos and not make those same mistakes, or to learn from all the great things that people are doing to help them get 10 steps ahead without having to learn the mistakes on their own. Anyway, so let's get into a bit of detail of a few things that I'm learning so far as we go with the events that I've either been a part of or the events that we're currently working on. So, I don't even know where to start. I have a long list here looking at me, and this is a really tough topic. So, all right. Where to start? Let's start back at the beginning. So when the industry had to make this move, I'm not going to use the P word that everyone hates, but when we all had to make this move, we all moved to Zoom meetings because that was the best that we had at the time. Then, about 45 or so days after we were into it, some of the larger organizations and companies who have money started to step up the game in virtual events, going to more of a production style event. So like think of like a video production, a TV production, or even a live event. Picture a live event, but being video recorded to come back and watch later. So we have gone to a stage, lighting, cool graphics, you know, that kind of thing. Now, I was recently part of Global Pride, which was a worldwide 26-hour, it was supposed to be 24-hour, but ended up being 26 hours of live virtual content. And I say live content, but it was actually people submitting videos, but it was being streamed live. Now, a few things I learned. So when I first volunteered to be a part of that, I don't remember if I volunteered specifically for the production team or if I just volunteered for the event and I ended up on the production team. Anyway, the production team at the time seemed like the right fit for me because of my experience, right? As an event planner, we produce events. I did not picture it as more like video production. So I ended up not being a great help on that, in that corner of the event. And I wish I had been moved to another area sooner, like more in sponsorship, or, you know, maybe that final production, like having a look at the final production, because I think I would have had a lot to offer in those areas. But anyway, I was happy to volunteer, and I got lots of stuff in, so it's great. And I learned a lot, which is amazing, right? I wouldn't have anything to talk about in this video if I hadn't learned anything. So the biggest thing I learned was that, oh my God, actually there's so many things I learned. It was such a great experience. I'm so glad I volunteered. So first, because it's a production, right? So people were submitting videos from all around the world to be cut into one video that was going to be shown over this 26 hours. So everyone is submitting different videos, right? In this case, obviously we wanted people to be creative, but I'm thinking about an event that we're working on currently with a client. And I think in our case, we're gonna want that look and feel to be very similar from speaker to speaker, but it's very hard for us to control that. We can't control the camera that the speakers are gonna use. We can't control the sound that's gonna be done. I don't know a lot about video, so I know that on the Global Pride team, on the production team, they were talking a lot about like having to sync the sound and the music and the lighting. And so there's a lot of stuff that goes on there. And that, as an event planner, worries me when I'm working on virtual events with clients, because when we are asking for videos to be submitted to us, unless we have a production team working with us to pull all of that together and make it look cohesive, is it gonna look messy? Is it gonna look disorganized? Is it gonna look, I don't know, just out of sorts? You know, like we're a live event, we're on stage, the lighting is consistent, we have everything running at the same time, we have one AV team in charge of the whole thing. I don't know, it's a worry for me. And I know, so the Global Pride event, in the end, it all looked great. And would I have, I don't know how much editing and, you know, went on in the background. I assume a lot, but in the end, I think the video looked great. And, you know, I think they did an amazing job. The cool thing about virtual events is that technically we're not limited anymore to our own location. Right? So at a live event, we would have people flying into one location and we would be all on the same time zone and working together. Usually your planning team is generally in the same time zone unless you have a global team, which is very possible. I don't. My team is all in the Eastern Standard Time. So we've never really had to think about time zones before, but with this Global Pride event, I was thrown into time zones with my very first volunteer project, where people who had shown an interest in participating in the event were coming in from all over the world. So my first project was to put in an Excel spreadsheet by time zone all of the people who were interested in participating. And then that time zone issue was consistent throughout the entire event, obviously, because the production team was from everywhere, right? We had production, we had not just the production team. When I say production, I mean production as a whole. In this case, I know if the Global Pride team is watching, I know they're thinking production team as in the video production side, but I'm thinking of production as in like the production of the entire event. So the production team was coming in from all over the world. So we were working with people in the UK, and then me in Canada, people down on the western coast of the United States. So there were people and anyway, some other really amazing countries, and it was so great to get to work with people from all around the world. But it does cause an issue, right? We had people getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning to attend a meeting, and we had, you know, like I had to stay up until, you know, or like get on a meeting at 7 o'clock at night, which went till almost 9 o'clock at night, which I know isn't a horrendous amount of, isn't a horrendous time. But when my work day, you know, was already full from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. and then I'm, you know, having time with my family and stuff in the evening, and then having to sit in on a call later on in the evening, that's exhausting. So that's something, it's amazing that we're working in a virtual world and that we can connect with people all over the world. but the time zone issue is an issue that we're going to need to be aware of, and whether that means with our production team or whether that means with the attendees. So if we're live streaming an event, and if it's only going to be available during the live stream, or if someone really wants to participate during the live stream and be able to be involved in the chat, or your speakers, right? Or your speakers are from a different time zone, we have to be aware of what that looks like around the world and not just in our own time zone. So something really important to remember, because it is, it's going to be a challenge, right? The time zones are going to be a challenge and will always be a problem. Now, with the time zones, one thing that I think was very interesting with the Global Pride event is that for licensing issues, the event was only going to be live streamed and none of the content was going to be available afterwards. And for the most part, conferences and things are all available after the fact, and you can go back and watch segments or whatever. But in this case, that was not going to happen. So people who were in time zones who were sound asleep, it was the middle of the night for them, who did not get up to watch certain components of the event missed it. Like, it's not coming back. You will not get to see it again. So that is something else you're going to have to keep in mind when you're planning an event that, well, any virtual event, because there may be people now who are not necessarily in your regular network who will want to be a part of this event. And now you're going to have to be aware of what those time zones are and how you can best meet their needs. Going live virtually and streaming it to, in this case on Global Pride, we streamed to Facebook, it was on YouTube, Instagram, having moderators to moderate the chat. It is not enough to have one person who is producing the event, and even the speaker. You can't have those same individuals moderating the chat, because the chat happens fast, especially in Twitter, right? Like, it's just like, it streams by so quickly. So for the Global Pride event, I was a moderator on Facebook, and we had, at any given time, we had no less than 2 people moderating Facebook, but I believe we were 3 or 4 at any moment throughout the streaming. Now, it was a global event and we were expecting a lot of people, so maybe not every event needs to have that many moderators. But if you think about it, we actually had, and we also had 2 or 3 moderators on YouTube. We had 2 or 3 moderators on Instagram at all times. So you could figure we had 6 to 10 moderators going all the time in order to make sure that people's questions were being answered, and that in this particular case, making sure that there was no hate content. Just interacting, because when you're doing a virtual event, you don't have that face-to-face interaction that we're used to at live events. So now all of a sudden we have to engage with individuals on a whole different way than what we're used to. So having moderators there who are familiar with your lingo and who have great personalities, that's going to be key to your virtual event being successful. What else? So I talked about the licensing issue that Global Pride had, and that we weren't able to show the event more than once. And so that's for music licensing issues. That is something we're going to have to be aware of too, because you get people submitting videos to you for some kind of event. I can't think of an example at this time other than the Global Pride, like where people were doing lip syncing or were singing a cover of a song. There's now licensing issues, and every time you play that video, right, you have to now pay those licensing fees. Again, I'm not familiar with music licensing. I've never DJ'd, I've never done anything like that, so I don't know exactly how that all works. But essentially, if your event is going to be available online, you cannot have licensed music in the video. Hand-holding presenters. So hand-holding your speakers has to happen in a live event, right? You usually give them guidelines, and you give them times they have to show up, and all their login details for you know, where they're going to submit their content, all those kinds of things. But on a virtual perspective, it's even harder to do that, because now we are not only asking them to, you know, make sure their event has certain content, or that they're presenting in a PowerPoint or a particular format that we need in order to make it work for our AV team. We have no control over the type of phone that they have and what that sounds like, and their internet access, right? If they, ensuring that they are, God, I'm so, see, as an event planner, I'm so out of touch with all of this lingo and all these things I need to know. And I'm learning as much as I can, as fast as I can, but I can only do so much. But like essentially where their internet access is tied in directly to their streaming platform, right? So not using Wi-Fi on their home internet access, because if their kids happen to log in and they're gaming while they're trying to present at a conference, does their stream just stop and freeze, right? So there's going to be so much more hand-holding with our speakers and our presenters. You know, do we want them to show the video lengthwise or horizontal? Do we need to make sure the lighting is correct? I've attended lots of conferences in the last 3 months where the lighting of the presenter was horrible, or the sound of the presenter was horrible, or they kept freezing. The minute your speaker starts to freeze, your attendees lose focus. They don't want to be there anymore, right? Because they're at home too, and there's a million other things that they need to be doing or would rather be doing. And if the video content is not consistent and great, you're going to lose them. So on top of the regular hand-holding we usually do with our speakers, there's a whole other component to that now. Sponsorship. I haven't had a chance to work on sponsorship yet. I kind of joined the Global Pride sponsorship team a bit late, and I wasn't able to contribute a lot. But listening to them speak and then watching the sponsorship content come out live on our actual event, you're gonna have to be working with sponsors who see the value in video content and not necessarily live face-to-face content. I am worried about sponsorship. I am considering attending a sponsorship conference out west in the fall, but again, everything is up in the air, and I don't, how do I say that? I don't know that I want to attend a virtual, you know, 3-day sponsorship conference from my home in my office. And I know that's horrible to say because that's what I do. That's my job. But if I want to, I love to learn. And when I go to a conference, I am on a topic that I'm interested in, which is sponsorship. I am fully immersed. I am there to learn. I am there to absorb as much as I possibly can, so that when I come home on the plane, I'm so excited that I can't sleep, right? And I have my notebook out and I'm taking all my notes. I'm concerned. I'm concerned about how we're going to meet the needs of sponsors. And I know sponsors are learning as they go as well. So maybe they're going to be able to offer content and ideas that maybe we just haven't come across yet, because we can only attend so many virtual events and learn as much as, so much as we go. So I am concerned about virtual sponsorship. In the case of Global Pride, we were working with huge organizations who are virtual companies. So they get it. We didn't have to, I don't believe that the team really had to sell them on the virtual component. They were selling them on the event. So I am nervous about that and how that's gonna all play out. So, and then the next thing is exhibitors. So how do we bring them to life? And so far what we're seeing, people are not thrilled with the virtual exhibitor experiences. Lots of companies trying, and I'm sure they're great, but they're not to the level that people want to necessarily exhibit at yet. So I'm concerned about that too. And I think we're just gonna have to keep doing it and learning from it and seeing what that looks like before we know whether it's going to work or not. I don't know. What do you think? I'd love to know what you think. Send me your comments. I love to see what you're thinking on how that's going to work. What else about virtual events? I mean, I'm scared of the virtual component. It's so outside my wheelhouse, the technical side of things. Thank God we already have amazing partners that are used to that, or at least can easily pivot. Yes, I mean, I use the P word, I use the dreaded P word, but those companies, most AV teams are going to be able to pivot to a virtual online experience and be able to be that resource for us, for event planners who are not comfortable in that world. Because for me, if a technical issue happens, so if we're live streaming, so let's say we did we have the stage set up and we have a speaker live, because we're allowed to have, however many people live with us in a conference room. So we have a speaker going live. If something technical happens, I am not the person who is going to be able to fix that. I would love to be. I would love to be that person who knows how to fix it, but I don't. I am one of those people who, if my computer is not working, it's probably human error. And if it's not human error, I'm euchred. I don't know how to fix the problem. So the virtual experience scares me, but it's no different, I guess, than what the live experience, those moments that scare me too, because if something goes wrong with AV at a live experience, I don't know how to fix it. The best I can do is have, attendees come to me and be like, hey, there's problems with the video in there. And then I can run to the AV guys and hey, there's a problem in there. and then hope that I've hired the right people to help me fix the problem. And I'm gonna have to count on the same resources and expertise in this virtual world. What else? What else can we talk about in virtual world? Registration. I'm not worried about virtual registration the same way I am about everything else. I am worried. So virtual registration has been around long enough that there are millions of systems out there who are amazing at virtual registration. So it has been around forever that you can go onto a website and you sign up for an event and all of the content is there that you need, all the questions that we need answered is there. We can pull the content from the back end to create the event that we need. So I have no concerns with that. That is probably the easiest part of a virtual event at this point, is registration. What does scare me is getting people to register. So how do we capture the attention of everyone who is online with, we're competing with all of these other events that have gone virtual? How do we compete with getting the attention of these people, and how do we get them to actually attend, right? So some people may sign up, and I'm totally guilty of this. I sign up for an event because it sounds amazing and I want to attend, but then something else comes up, right? So I'm not actually getting in my car and driving to an event where my attention is now totally focused on this event that I have paid for and that I am attending. I am now in my home, in my office, with my email running steady beside me while I'm trying to attend an event. And yes, technically I should be just shutting off my email, but as you all know, it's not always that easy. But then, I have my daughter knocking on my door, or my husband knocking on my door, or my dog needs a walk, or I'm hungry and I want to go downstairs and grab a bite to eat. There are a million distractions at home. Or, as we're finding in the virtual world, for some reason, everyone is hosting their virtual events on Wednesdays. Well, what happens when I have 4 events that I need to attend on a Wednesday? What does that look like? How do we compete with everything that is happening virtually right now and getting people to attend our events? So I'm worried about that. I'm worried about that side of registration, is how do we get people to attend? What about the people who just cannot keep their attention during a virtual event, who just won't sign up? So let's say, for example, you run a conference every year, steady 500 people attend. So you're thinking, our virtual event, that's easy. Same 500 people are going to register. But they have those same competing priorities now at their home office. Their company has changed, so their work has changed. So maybe they don't have the time or the money to attend your event that they would normally attend, because when the world was normal, money was in place, time was in place, you know, all of that made sense then, but now it doesn't. How do we manage that? How do we manage the people who can't, like for me, the idea of sitting through a 3-day conference is dreadful. But what is the answer to that? Is the answer that we run a little bit of content every day? I don't know that that's the answer, because I signed up for an event like that and I watched the first day and didn't catch another day, and it ran for 7 days and I did not catch the other 6 because I had a million other things on my list that I needed to do. So every time I'd see the email come up, reminder about our session that starts in an hour, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to do that again today. And they were only like an hour to 2 hours each session. So I don't know that that's the answer either. What do you think? Tell me. Let's talk about it. I don't know. I'm worried. I am worried. Clearly, now that I'm talking it all out, right? Because I'm usually a pretty positive person and I can get myself through, you know, a task one at a time. And I am working with clients and I am convincing them that this is going to work. But I am not 100% confident that it is going to work. And other than doing it, we're never going to figure it out, right? We just need to continue to try. Now, when we go back to live events, and we're going to be forced to keep a virtual component because I think most are going to want that, then I am 100% sure that it's going to work amazing. And you know why? Because the people who want to be there live are going to be there live. And those of us who love to plan live events are going to be planning exceptional live events like we did before this. People who don't necessarily love live events, but have totally fallen in love with virtual events, people who are major introverts or people who don't have the money to travel, all of those people are going to engage virtually with events that they would not normally have been able to attend. And that's amazing. I did that. I attended a virtual event that I normally would have loved to attend, but I would not have attended because the registration price plus the travel costs, all of that would have been way too much. But I actually got to attend the event because it was virtual. So we will have those people and it's going to work. But without the live component, when it's all virtual, I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced. And I don't know what to say about it. I don't know I don't have the solution to the problem, and I don't think any of us do. We are all just going to do our best. The events industry right now, if you are not in the events industry, I can assure you that the events industry is busting ass trying to figure it out. All of us. There is teamwork happening. There are discussions happening, like so many that we can't even attend them all. You want to, but you just can't. So we are doing everything we can to make sure that we are going to meet the needs of our clients. But none of us have the answers yet. We are all learning as we go. I know people like Sean and I who are doing the event critique, that is going to be really helpful. So we just need to get some more videos out so that people can start to tune in and watch that and learn from what we're seeing, both good and bad. You know, there is one trend right now in the virtual world, and I don't know why it happened, and I don't know, I would like to get to a mountaintop and scream it out and tell everyone to stop doing it, but no one's outside and no one will be listening, so they won't hear it. But people need, on virtual events, I can tell you right now, the one thing you need to not be doing is to tell people that the event starts at 8, and then when they log in at 8, there's a 30-minute countdown to when the event actually starts. Don't do that. If your event starts at 8, start at 8. If you want to have a cocktail hour, a virtual cocktail hour, or whatever it is that you're going to call that time, it needs to start a half an hour before your event starts. People's time is precious, especially now. I know we all technically have more time, but you are now really taking away from time of your attendees at home, right? If they want to go down and throw in a load of laundry, or if they're sitting with their daughter, trying to help them with their schoolwork or whatever that looks like, and if you pull them out of that 30 minutes before they needed to be there, they are not going to be pleased. I can tell you it's happened to me twice on events that I've attended now, and I was not pleased. Not happy about it at all. It was a waste of my time. And it caused a lot of confusion, right? Because then you were wondering, like, did I miss something? Am I logged in the right place? So it's not okay to do that. But those are little things that we're all learning as we go. And can you hear my dog? She's sleeping and she's dreaming. I don't know if you can hear her in the background there. Anyway, one of the things of working from home, right? In those virtual events. Anyway, I think that's all I have to say about virtual events today. I'm struggling with it, and I'm trying really hard. I am trying really hard to get into it and to get excited about it, but I can't wait until live events come back. Amen. Put amen in the comments there if you agree with me, because holy Hannah, man, I am so ready to be back to live events. And I'm an introvert, but I miss creating those experiences based on the 5 senses, right? Like I love event food, and I love seeing our attendees walk into a room and their face light up because they love what they see. I love listening to them walk out of a session inspired and excited, talking to colleagues, right? Like, oh my God, that's such a great idea. I can't wait to get back to the office and implement that. I love that, and I miss that. So anyway, here's hoping we're going to get back to live events soon so that we can get past this. But anyway, we're all doing our best, and thanks everyone for your patience. Thanks for learning with us, and thanks for watching my video. And please leave your comments. I'm happy to chat. You know, we can, if you have a topic you want to talk about, maybe we can do an interview and we'll talk about that too. That would be really fun. Anyway, have a fantastic day, everybody, and stay safe and stay healthy.